प्रारम्भं कुर्मः। ॐ सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। Sarvebhyah, welcome you all to the next session of Sangeetha Ratnakara, an overview offered by Asha Seva Kendram. Continuing with our discussion with Vadyadhyaya, after having an overview of Tata and Sushira Vadyas, let us look at the next set of instruments, Avanaddha and Ghana, and their characteristics. Margadeshi gatatvena pataho dvividho bhavet margastha patahasyatra lakshanam tavaduchyate. So the drum called Pataha is of two types, like Marga and Deshi. Margadeshi gatatvena classified under Marga and Deshi, Margastha Patahasya. The Pataha belonging to the Marga category is going to be described first. So he goes on explaining how to construct Pataha in the Marga way. सार्धहस्तद्वयं तस्य दैर्घ्यं स्यात् परिधिः पुनः षष्ट्यङ्गुलो मध्यदेशः पृथुलो दक्षिणं मुखम् कर्तव्यं सम्मितं सार्धैरेकादशभिरङ्गुलैः वामं तु दशभिः सार्धैः सम्मितं दक्षिणे मुखे. So its length is 2.5 hastas, सार्धहस्तद्वय, and then length is about 1.2 meters, you can say. Its circumference is 60 angulas, and then Madhyadeshaha Pruthulaha, the middle portion is thick and broad. And then Dakshinam Mukham Kartavyam Sammitam Sardhair Ekadashangulaihi. The right side of the drum is especially large with 11.5 angulas, which is around 22 centimeters. Vamam tu Dashabhihi Sardhaihi Sammitam. Left side is 10.5 angulas, which is around 20 centimeters. Dakshine mukhe ayasam valayam karyam vame valli samudbhavam. On the right face of the pataha, an iron ring should be fixed. On the left side, a ring made from creeper fiber should be used. The iron gives strength and durability to withstand heavy striking. The creeper provides flexibility and a different tonal quality. The asymmetry in materials and the size produces contrasting timbers. And then he says, Shanmasike mruto vatsaha, Shanmasiko mruto vatsaha, yaha tasyadaya parikam, tayavagunthya valayam vallijam vamavaktragam. So the covering should be made, parika should be made from the hide of a calf that has had a natural death at the age of 6 months. With that hide, the creeper fiber ring on the left face of the drum should be wrapped and covered. Saptarandhranvitam krutva sudrudhaihi sukshmadhorakaihi nikshiptaisteshu randhreshu bandhavyaha kalashaha shlatham. So the drum should be made with 7 holes strengthened with cords, and then the tiny parts, kalashas, are to be inserted into these holes. The kalashas are made of gold. Te hemadimayaha sapta dairghena chaturangula. Actually, what we have he has said is Tyaktva angulani chatvari vame.
एकनिमिषं महोदय, हेमदिमयाः वा?
हेमादिमया. अत्र टङ्कणदोष हेमादिमय
ओके
टङ्कणदोषः समीकरोमि अनन्तरम्. So the kalashas are made of gold, each 4 angulas in length. On the left side, a hide covering of 4 angulas of space should be left uncovered. These 7 holes in the kalashas give out enriching sound. So for the left side uncovered portion, a metallic plate, loha patrika, of 3 angulas breadth is fixed. And then
actually this is made of gold, and the creepers means natural creepers are used.
Natural creepers only. Natural creepers are used. Gold parts, tiny parts actually. They are inserted, and then the hide of a
baby calf which has died in 6 months.
6 months that has had a natural death. That is also very important. Okay, angulatraya vistaram patahe veshtaye dridham. So the metallic plate loha patrika of 3 angulas breadth is fixed, and then the drum should be wrapped securely. The hide covering must be taken from the body of a calf, thick and strong. Vadyakayasya charme pashoho tena ghanena cha. So both faces of the drum should be bound with a strap. The right face is to be encircled with a strap and then perforated with holes for binding. Randhrakshiptair gudair gadam akrushya itaravaktragaihi. So the cords should be drawn tightly across both faces of the drum, binding them firmly to the rings so that it is firm and steady. And then on the left face where the kavala strap ends, 7 resonator holes are placed. Around these cords should be wound, securing the kalashas to the strong iron ring. Ayasaihi valayehi dridhaihi. That's what he says. And then Antah kshiptva samakrishtaihi valaye gadhatam nayet. The resonators, kalashas, are inserted inside and drawn tight with the ring so that the firmness is achieved. And then on the left side beyond the ring, creeper fiber, they are bound securely. And the presiding deity, he is talking about the presiding deity for Pataha. He says it is Skanda, Kartikeya. This drum or Pataha is fastened to the kacha of the lower garment, dhoti or veshti. Veshtanaya katehe kachet yuktaoyam skanda daivata. And then the drummer, that kind of fastening helps the drummer to carry and play it securely during a procession or ritual. And then Shri Yajnapura Varyena Pataho Marga Sambhavaha. Here he states that this description of the Pataha belongs to the Marga tradition, the canonical Shastric system. The authority is Sharngadeva of Yajnapura. That is what he says. And this final sentence is a seal of authority. So he is commanding. So it will be like this. This is the way to construct a Pataha, Marga Pataha. Next, he talks about Deshi Pataha. देशीस्थः अपि एवमेव स्यात् दैर्घ्ये असौ सार्धहस्तकः सप्ताङ्गुलं दक्षिणास्यम् अन्यत् सार्धषडङ्गुलम्. So this Deshi Pataha is also constructed in the same manner but with smaller dimensions. And then the length is 1.5 hastas, sardhahasta. Right face is 7 angulas, left face is 6.5 angulas. Antaram jatharam vangshnam pashor gadita muddali. The hide covering is taken from the inner abdominal skin of an animal. And then visheshaha ayam bhaved asmin ubhav khadira daruja. Both faces of the instrument are made of khadira wood, a practical and durable choice. And then next he says त्रिधोक्तोऽयं द्वयोरन्यैः उत्तमो मध्यमो धमः उत्तमः प्रोक्तमानः स्यात् द्वादशांशोनितः पुनः मध्यमः षष्ठभागेन विहीनस्तु अधमः भवेत्. So this for this Deshi Pataha also he grades them into 3 types actually. Uttama variety is Dvadashamshonitaha. It is full size, complete features are there like the Marga Pataha. And in the Madhyama medium variety, it is reduced by 1/6 of whatever features are there in the Uttama. And then in the Adhama, inferior variety, that is reduced by 1/12. Again, another 1/6. So that will be 1/12 of the Uttama. And then next he talks about Atha Adya Varnaha. So what are the Varnas doing in Pataha? So it is Nga Varjitaha, Kavargascha, Tata Vargau, Rahavapi iti Shodasha Varnaha Syuhu Ubhayoha Patasanyakaha. So now the focus shifts from the Pataha construction to the use of it. It lists the Varnas used in playing the Pataha. When we play an instrument, a particular sound is produced. So when percussion instruments are played, the sounds will be like dhum, tom, dum, nam, like that. So in Mridanga also, the initial lessons are ta, dhi, tom, nam, isn't it? Same way, here they are all described as Pata Varnas, he calls them. There are 16 Varnas. They are common to both Marga and Deshi. They are called Pata Sanyakaha, meaning the technical strokes or mnemonics of Pataha playing. Sanyoga Viprayoga Bhyam Krama Vyutkrama Yogataha. And then Saswaratva Aswaratva Bhyam Patahate Syuhu Anekadha. So Varnas or Pata strokes are produced by Sanyoga combination and Viprayoga separation, Krama order, Vyutkrama reverse order, and then by being Swara bearing Shadja and others, or Aswara unpitched also. So there's many varieties of Pata strokes arise out of these syllables. That's what he says. Uddalyameva Jhenkaraha. That extra one special feature of the Deshi Pataha, specifically tied to the left face, Vama Vaktra, he says it is for extra resonance. When struck, it produces an enhanced jhenkara, ringing resonance. It is considered an additional varna beyond the 16 basic Pata Varnas, basic strokes, arising from the unique construction and playing of the Deshi Pataha. And then he talks about one Denkara also. Jhenkara, Denkara. This Denkara is a special feature of the Marga Pataha tied to the right face, Dakshina Vaktra. When played with the Kavala strap, it produces a heavier, deeper resonance than the standard strokes. Like Uddalya, it is an extra varna exceeding the basic ones, but specific to the Marga Pataha construction. So this Deshi Pataha Meva Ahuhu Imam Addavajam Janaha. So this Deshi Pataha is also called as Addavaja by people. Its playing shaft Vadanakashtha is measured at 18 angulas, Ashtadasha angulaha, and then Kinchin Natagraha. It is slightly bent at the top and broad in the middle, Madhyataha Pruthu. Then conical at the base. Konaha Karyaha Mooladeshe. And then Madanambara Veshtitaha. The body is wrapped with a special cloth or binding material, often combined with resin coated strip. This construction makes the Deshi Pataha lighter, portable, and suited for regional or folk performance, unlike the large ritualized Marga Pataha. It also prevents cracking of wood, helps maintain tension of the head, and adds durability. And then he talks about Padmasanopavishtena Goshtyam Urudvayorapi Samsthapya Marga Pataho Vadyo Varnodbhave Patuhu. So the focus now shifts to the posture for the performance and the technique of playing the Pataha. The performer sits in Padmasana, cross-legged. The Marga Pataha is placed across both thighs, Urudvaya, and then a skilled player produces the strokes, Varnodbhava. The Pataha is played with Ardhavaktra, half face covered, similar to the Ghatavadyas. The playing technique involves striking with the hand at an angle, Konena Panina. This special striking produces characteristic sounds well known to expert musicians. And then he talks about ये पाठाः पटहे प्रोक्ताः तेषां विविध गुम्फनात् हस्तोद्भवाः पाठभेदा हस्तपाठाः प्रकीर्तिताः. So the Pataha strokes are called Hastapata. The 16 varnas along with Jhenkara and Denkara can be combined in many ways. Sanyoga, Viprayoga, Krama, Vyutkrama, Swara, Aswara, whatever. So we get innumerable varieties there. These combinations are produced by the hands. Hastodbhava. Hence they are called Hastapataha. Even the strokes that seem to arise from angle or finger work are ultimately dependent on the hand's activity. And then Sharngadeva says it is impossible for anyone to know all the possible permutations, as it is infinite. Therefore, only a select few examples are going to be illustrated here. Pradarshanartham eteshu katichit pratipadaye. Only a few are going to be illustrated here. And then next he talks about the Panchapata and the 5 faces of Shiva. So as we all know that Lord Shiva is known for the 5 faces, and the each of the face is associated with some specific characteristic. Sadyo jatan nagabandha swastiko vamadevataha alagno bhut aghorattu shuddhihi tatpurushabhidhat asidishana vaktrattu samaskalita sanyakaha jataha pancheti panchabhyo mukhebhyah Parvati Patehe. There is a symbolic turn in the Pataha Lakshana section connecting the drum strokes Pata to the 5 faces of Lord Shiva. And they have some association with some mantras also. The strokes are linked to the Panchavaktra, 5 faces of Shiva, Sadyojata, which produces Nagabandha, and then Vamadeva produces Swastika stroke, Aghora produces Alagna stroke, Tatpurusha Mukha produces Shuddhi stroke, Ishana Mukha produces Samaskalita stroke. And then each of them is being described, and these verses are Sharngadeva's elaboration on the Panchapata system, the 5 principal stroke groups of the Pataha, each supposed to have emerged from Shivamukha and then expanded into subtypes. So from the 5 faces of Shiva arise 5 chief patas. They are associated with the deities Kramat, Devata, Brahma, Vishnu, Sharva, Ravi, Indava. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Surya, and Chandra. These are the pradhana strokes, main strokes. And then this Nagabandha from Sadyojata is linked with Pavana, wind. Nagabandhascha Pavanaha Tatha Tathaikaika Sarabhita. So substrokes like Ekasara arise from it. Nagabandha produces difficult movements and dispersions. Dussara Sanchara Vikshepa, he says. And then same way, each of the phases, they come up with 7 varieties of patterns. And then Konahastas, we will go to that. So each of them, finally, 7 strokes from each of the phases, that will result in 35 hastapatas. All those are described in these shlokas. And then he talks about Konahastascha Sambhrantaha. Here, special hastapatas are attributed to Nandikeshwara's teachings. Chatvarah hastapataha syuhu Nandikeshwara bhashitaha. And then these hastapatas go beyond the 35 hastapatas. And then there are distinctive hand positions and gestures like Konahasta, Sambhranta, Vishamartha, and Sama. And then there are additional strokes, Utpulla, Khalaka, and all those things. And then when we look at all of this, we realize that earlier Sharngadeva enumerated 5 chief hastapatas, with each with 7 substrokes leading to 35 hastapatas. Here he presents a condensed set of 21, considered the most representative and practical for performance. And this enumeration reflects the tension between comprehensive taxonomy and the usable repertoire. And then next he talks about Vishama Patas also. Vishama Pata, Apata, and then Chitra Pata. So many varieties he keeps on expanding and expanding. And then totally 88 hastapatas he talks about. Ashtashiitiri me hastapataha nishanka kirtitaha, he says. He reminds that all these strokes are ultimately hand-produced, hastodbhava strokes, arising from thumb-finger combination and angular hand movements. The Konahata stroke, with its chantable syllables, is given as an example here to show how these strokes are not only technical but also mnemonic syllables for oral transmission. Khum dhari karageda, like that. And then the same way, all the various hastapatas are explained by Sharngadeva. Next, he talks about 5 kinds of sanchara, vibratory oscillations used in Pataha and Hudukka play. Patahasya Hudukkayaha pancha sanchan bruve adhuna. Skandha Kurpara is one variety. Angushta Manibandha is the second one. Kurpara Skandha Sancha, Vamangri Sancha, Hudukki Sancha. These are the 5 types of oscillatory movement. So when we look at the Skandha Kurpara, vibration produced due to the movement of the shoulder and elbow. This is considered Nicha actually, inferior for Pataha players. Angushta Manibandha is supposed to be the best Shrestha form for Pataha playing. Shrestha Patahikaha Sanchat, best movement. Vibration produced due to the movement of thumb and wrist. And then Kurpara Skandha Sancha, movement from elbow and shoulder. Effect is moderate, Madhyama. And then Vamangri Sancha, vibration due to the movement of left foot, considered Adhama, lowest in quality. And then Hudukki Sancha is there. Vibration produced by involving thumb, elbow, and shoulders together. This is praised as Vara, excellent for Hudukka players. Varaha, Haudukki Kongushta Kurpara Skandha Sanchataha. Then next he talks about Pata Vinyasa Bheda. Different arrangement or styles of strokes, patterns in Pataha and related drums. So he talks about Bollavani, Challavani, Uduva, Kuchumbini, Charu Shravanика, and so many varieties. Here, these are all the playing styles actually. Kuduva Charana arising from Kuduva based strokes. It involves angular or staff like gestures. And then Jata Hastaja Pataistu Kevalaihi Karacharana. So Karacharana arises purely from hand produced strokes. Hastaja Pata. And then strokes produced with paired hands resembling a staff. Ekaiko yaha karadvandvan mrudu dakshina panikat jayate tadrishaihi. And then okay. Where is
So
it?
here this right-handed playing only he's talking about.
No. He's playing. He's talking about both the hands. So somewhere sometimes it is right hand, sometimes it is left hand. Yaha karena karabhyam va kritaihi pataihi nirantaraihi nirantara ghanadhvanaha. Sasyad ghanaravaabhidaha iti ghanaravaha. Continuous deep resonance. I think that shloka is missing here. I think it is missing. It's okay.
Do they, I guess, now there are left-handed players. I guess, I wonder how this will...
Oh, that is what I was trying to ask. Because nowadays we have players, the left-handed, the mains, this thing, I don't know how to explain that. They are there, no? Who play with the left hand.
Maybe he has talked about only right hand. He has focused on right hand players. Maybe that.
So that is what that was the question I asked. Okay.
So yaha karena karabhyam va kritaihi patair nirantaraihi nirantara ghanadhvanaha sasyad ghanaravaabhidaha. So continuous deep resonance from uninterrupted strokes. And then these are the Dvadasha Patahadi Jatani Vadyani arising from Pataha and related drums. And then okay. Pataha, Pataksharam Yadva, I think what I explained here, it is there in this slide actually. Okay. Then Pataha Pataksharam Yadva Shruyate Chet Punah Punaha Anushrawanikam Praha Shankara Anucharastada Ityanushrawanika. So this Patakshara that is heard repeatedly again and again, that is called Anushrawanika because the same syllable or stroke is resounded in repetition, producing a characteristic echoing effect. So we know when we play some drums, some kind of sound is again and again produced, no? And then Dve Chatvari Bhavantyashtau Yadva Khandani Shodasha Denkaradini Yatrasau Hastaha Satu Chaturvidhaha Chaturashra Triyashra Mishra Khanda Tala Prayogataha. So when strokes are arranged into sections, khanda of 2, 4, 8 or 16, that arrangement is called hasta. This hasta is of 4 types depending on the rhythmic framework, tala. Chaturashra based on 4-beat cycle, Triyashra 3-beat cycle, Mishra mixed cycle, Khanda and 5-beat cycle and all these things you already know. So there is no need to elaborate. Tad ardhardhadi bhedena kramena vyutkramena va akhanda talaha patas chet yujyante jodani tada. So he says when strokes, patas are arranged in halves, quarters, and other fractional divisions, ardha, ardhartha, etc., and when they are combined in direct or reverse order, like that is chapu, that reverse is also there, no? Mishra chapu tala, when it is reversed. Huh?
Viloma chapu.
Viloma chapu, yes, that I forgot that name. So that kind of combinations. So it results in akhanda tala patterns. This is called jodani. And then he talks about when we look at the relevance of these vinyasas, these patterns in today's world, in today's music world, why do we need to go through all this? Means it is whatever he talks about, Bolavani, Jodani, Panchahasta, etc. They are all directly parallel to how tabla, mridangam, and pakhavas are played in today's world. And the principle of codified stroke arrangements are the same. Names may be changed, or the combination may be altered, but the basic structure is the same. And then Tala architecture. If you look at the Tala architecture, the classification into Chaturashara, Triyashara, Mishra, Khanda, these are all still the backbone of Carnatic and Hindustani rhythm. We don't know much about Hindustani because we are told that only Carnatic music, more focus is there on Tala structure in Carnatic music. And then what Sharngadeva calls Hasta Vinyasa is essentially the same logic used in modern Tala Prastara and Nadai variations. And then we have seen how what was that? How to build Tala Khandamiru. All those things we have seen. And then pedagogical lineage. These vinyasas show us that medieval drummers were already experts in these patterns. We are only using whatever work was done by them. And then Sharngadeva explicitly notes how the same vinyasa is adapted across Pataha, Hudukka, Mridanga, Karata, etc. So, same idea works for various instruments. And then while the exact names are not in active use, the idea of naming and preserving stylistic repertoire is alive in Bani's styles of Pakhavas and Tabla and in the Parampara traditions of Mridangam. So for Mridangam also we have great stalwarts like Karaikudi Mani and then Umayalapuram Shivaraman sir. So how they have brought this to us, that is amazing, isn't it? And we can't say that we are the creators actually. All our ancestors, they have done a lot of work in this field also. Next, he talks about each of the instruments. Mardala. Here, Nirdosha Bija Vrikshothaha Pinde Ardhangula Sammitah Ekavimshatyangulaha Syat Dairghye Vame Mukhe Punaha. So the drum body Pinda is made from a flawless tree trunk about 21 angulas long. The left face Vama Vaktra is Chaturdashangula. Right face Dakshina Vaktra is 13 angula. And the middle portion is slightly broader with 40 holes around the rim, for lacing. Chatvarimshat prithak randrani. And then skins are stretched across both faces, stitched and bound firmly with cords. Gomutrika bandha. Special tightening methods ensure durability and resonance. And then he says how the playing and resonance also. So Pindikam Pindikam Purikakaram Vamavaktre Niveshayet. A paste, bohana, is applied. A thick layer on the left side, a lighter one on the right. This also we see our mridang is used, no? That some rava or some paste they use for applying for the resonance. This produces a deep thunder-like resonance. Jaladhara dhvani gambhira. And then the deity associated with Mardala is Nandikeshwara, linking the instrument to Shaiva ritual tradition. And then the materials, according to some people, the materials typically made of red sandalwood or khadira. Mardala is made of red sandalwood or khadira. Length is about 30 angulas, diameter around 8 angulas. And then left face 12 and right face 11.5 angulas. And then characteristic syllables are tadhi, tom, tem, hem, nam. They are mentioned here. Okay. And then the 16 basic syllables are recognized, divided into Shuddha, pure, and Kuta, mixed varieties. Mixed syllables combined with pure ones are called Khanda. And then he also talks about the poetic dimension in this. He says, Imam Kavitakarakyam Vadakam Bruvate Janaha. What he says is Sharangadeva emphasizes that a skilled drummer should weave syllables into rhythmic compositions that delight like poetry. Such a performer is called a Kavitakara, one who creates rhythmic poetry. Ancient texts like Natya Shastra, Brihadeshi mention about the instrument Mardala or Muraja or Mridanga. But Sharangadeva gives a detailed notes on the construction, the sacredness, etc. of the instrument. He says Pataha, Hudukka, Karata are all the instruments which belong to the Pushkara family. He talks about some Pushkara instrument. All these instruments belong to that family. This Mardala or Muraja during the later period got modified as Pakhavas and Mridanga in Indian music world. There was a great influence of the bowl patterns and rhythmic structures on the tabla. And then next he talks about Vadyakara and the four percussionists and the four types of percussion players. Vadaka, Chaturvidhaha, Mardalikaha, four types. Vadakaha, Vadakarta, Syad, Vadaha, Paksha Parigrahaha. Vada is the art itself. Vadakarta is the performer. Vadaka is the master player. Vadaha Paksha Parigrahaha equates musical engagement with intellectual commitment. And then next variety is Mukhari, Karta, Vadya Prabandhanam, Nritta Siksha Vichakshanaha. So he says he is the creator of instrumental compositions. He is skilled in the art and training of dance, Nritta Siksha Vichakshanaha, and then expert in its technique. This shows the interdependence of Gita, Vadya, and Nritta. And then next variety of percussionists is Pratimukhari, slightly inferior to Mukhari, but follows the Mukhari in many aspects. And then Geetanugaha, Shuddha Salaga Geetanam Varnan Kathina Komalan. He is a specialist in accompanying songs. He matches syllables, varnas with melody, whether it is hard or soft. Samamscha Vishaman Nadam, Mandram Madhyam cha Tarakam. Mandra, Madhya, and Tara Shrutis also he is able to match. Tarasthana. And then follows the song in its beginning, middle, and the end, adapting to tempo changes, Anuloma Viloma, uses Takara and Thomkara strokes for entry and exit. If the song lacks substance, his role is diminished. Otherwise, he entertains, he enhances the melodic flow. And then he is supposed to be the we can say he's supposed to be the best. And then next he talks about Varna Vyaktihi. Varna Vyaktihi, Surekhatvam, Anuyaya Praveenata, Mardalika qualities, Gunadoshaha. Madhurodhata Vadyeshu Vignata Hastalaghavam, Avadhanam Shramajayah, Mukha Vadyeshu Patavam, Raktihi Avidhakasya Anuvrittir Bahulata Tatha. Yati Tala Layajñatvam Geetanugamanam Tatha Gunaha Mardalikasya Ete Doshahasya Tadviparyayaha. So Varna Vyakti, clear aesthetic articulation of syllables and tones. And then Anuyaya Praveenata, mastery of techniques of accompaniment, skill in following and complementing melody. And then sweetness and vigor, Madhurodhata Vadyatva, balance of sweetness and energetic playing. And then dexterity, Hastalaghavam, lightness and agility of hand movement. And then concentration and endurance, Avadhanam Shramajaya, focused attention, control of fatigue. Artistic coordination, Mukha Vadyeshu Patavam. And then Raktihi, emotional coloring and aesthetic charm, Avidhakasya Anuvrittihi, consistency and fluency. Then Yatitala Layajñatvam, understanding of tempo, rhythm, and structure. Geetanugamanam, ability to follow and enhance the song. So the defects would be the opposite of all the above. Lack of clarity, fatigue in playing, poor coordination, ignorance about the rhythm and melody, and all those things. And then he talks about Mardalika Vrundam, ensemble of Mardala players. Tat Vrundam Dvi Tri Chaturaihi Tajñaihi Mardala Dharibhihi Pradhanyena Vidhatavyam Taihi Mukhaihi Anuvartanam. The Vrinda or group should consist of 2, 3, or 4 players, 4 skilled Mardalikas. Their role is to follow the main performer with rhythmic precision and sensitivity. The ensemble must maintain unity of tempo, coordination, and aesthetic balance, ensuring that the percussion supports rather than overwhelms the principal melody. And nowadays, this is what is happening in Carnatic music world. Mridangis, they are dominating everywhere. That's what my observation is. And then next instrument, he talks about Hudukka. Ya hasta sammita dairghye ashtavimshatyangula punaha paridhavangula mita pinde saptangule mukhe. So all the construction and how the resonance whole is built, what is the playing technique, dakshinena panina vadanam. And then Nyasya Vamam Niveshayet. All these are explained. And then Devataha Mataraha Sapta. The associated deities are Sapta Matrikas. And then the bowls used are Majhenkara. Denkara Varjitan Varnan. Denkara should be avoided. That's what he is saying. And then known also as Skandhavaja because of shoulder strap playing. And then what next he talks about Karata Lakshanam. Bija Vrikshodbhava Pindongula Turyamsha Sammita. So made from a tree trunk. Bija Vriksha is hard timber. And then length about 21 to 28 angulas and circumference would be 40 angulas. And then this is also carried by a shoulder strip, skandha pattika, are tied to the waist and played with 2 sticks, kudupa, produces characteristic syllables, pata like tirikita. Tirikita, like that it will go. Known for sharp, lively rhythmic articulation. And then associated deity is Charchika. Charmamunda to Charchika, Amarakusha, you all know. And then recognized as part of the Pushkara drum family. This also belongs to Pushkara family. And then next he talks about Ghata. All of you know about Ghata. Ghanaha, Shlakshnaha, Supakvascha, Stokavaktraha, Mahodaraha, Panibhyam Vadyate Tadnyahi, Charmanadhanano Ghataha, Kathitaha Patavarnaye, Mardalete Ghatet Mataha. So Ghanaha, solid, dense with inner strength, Shlakshnaha, Supakvaha, well-baked clay, Stokavaktraha, small mouth, Mahodaraha, large belly, Charmanadhananaha, mouth covered with leather. I didn't know about this. Actually, I thought it was open. Played with hands, and then all the syllables, Patavarnas that are taught for the Mardala are also applicable to the Ghata. Thus, Ghata shares the same rhythmic vocabulary as the larger drums, even though its body is clay. And then next he talks about Ghadasa, and then that is also something very closer to I think it is closer to this thing.
The second one you showed.
Huh?
The picture looks very much like the second picture you showed. The second.
Minute differences, no. Minute differences, yeah. That's what I understood. Hudukka. Ghadasa Lakshanam. That shloka itself starts like that, no? Hudukkayaiva Ghadaso Vyakhyataha Kintu Mandali Dakshinasyoddali Batha Vama Rajva Niyantrita. Characterized by Ghonkara, heavy sounds played with the right hand using thumb and middle fingertips, producing a frictional sound. Gharshanat Gomkrutir Bhavet. And then Dhavasa. Next, he talks about Dhavasa. Dhavasa is also dominated by Dhankara sounds, bold, resonant strokes, and then classified by Sharngadeva as part of the Pushkara family of drums. Okay, there is so much to say, but I don't want to overload you. Next, Dhakka. Dhakka, all of you know, Navapanchavaram, Ninada Dhakkam, Navapanchavaram. Lord Ishvara played and Panini gave us a Vyakarana, which we are all struggling to understand. And then this Vyakhyata Dhavasenaiva Dhakka Kintu Mukhadvayam Dhenkaraha Patavarnaha Syu Nishankeneti Kirtitam. Dhakka is explained as essentially the same as Dhavasa. See, very similar. They are all. Okay. And it has a smaller body, 2 faces, Mukhadvayam. Each face is about 13 angulas wide. It is carried and supported by the left hand. And the playing technique, left hand holds the drum while the right hand strikes with a stick, Kona Kudupa. I didn't know that actually. I thought it was only shaking of that instrument, sound is produced. That's what my understanding was. This was news to me. Okay. And then Sharngadeva says that Dhakka is a smaller 2-faced version of the Dhavasa. with similar construction but distinct playing emphasis is there. Okay, this also belongs to that Pushkara Vadya family. And then Puduka also, that is described as essentially similar to Huduka, but without the front pegs or gala. Okay, and then next he talks about Kuduva, Bija Darumayi. The Kuduva is made from Bija, hard timber. And then this Pata Varnas are having emphasis on Kenkara sounds. And then Ranja Lakshanam, Ashtadasha Angula Dairghye. So this is this Ranja is a drum made. This also is made of hard timber, Bijadaru. And then this instrument is played by slinging on the shoulder and striking with both hands. Produces syllables dominated by Rumkara sounds, avoids Jainkriti strokes. Presiding deity is Bhringi. And next he talks about Damaruka. Dhakka is over, Damaruka. Vitasti matra dairghya syat ashtangula mukhadvayaha. So this is also held in the middle, twisted or shaken with both hands. So I think I was confused with Shiva's Dhakka and this Damaruka. Okay, and then produces characteristic syllables, Patavarnas, dominated by Dhakka Rata sounds. Damaruka is the archetypal hourglass drum, small and portable. It is often linked to Shiva's Damaru. See, this also belongs to Pushkara Vadya family. And then he talks about Dhakka. Dhakka is over, Dhakka. Here, Dhakka also, Sharngadeva notes its syllables as codified by earlier authorities, but adds variants for this. And then the presiding deity is Vindhyavasini, a form of Durga. Its compact size and sharp sound makes it a folk ritual instrument, but it is included in the classical taxonomy. And then he talks about Mandidaka, and then Dakuli, and then Seluka, Jallari, Bhana, Trivali. And then actually, gradually, if we observe, some metal is also some metals are also added to these instruments. That is what I observed with this. And then
mentioned that the very first one itself had the gold kalashas.
Yeah. But here it increases actually.
Okay, and then it had another plate on the other side.
Yes,
on one
yes,
side.
yes.
So,
And then Trivali, Dundubhi. So it is made from amra wood, mango tree. This is something interesting actually. All the time we thought hard timber was the best. Now he is saying this is made from amra wood. Amra druma samudbhutaha mahagatraha mahadhvanihi kamsya bhajana sambhara garbha valaya varjitaha. A large vessel of bronze, copper, or similar metal is fitted inside as its belly. And then with the mango, it is made from the mango tree, wood of the mango tree. It is giving a strong body, Mahagatra. And then it is tightened firmly with pegs all around. A strong stick, kona, is used to strike. Produces deep, thunderous sounds dominated by ghonkara. That is Megha Nirghosha Gambhira Ghonkara. And then it is associated with auspicious occasions, Mangala, victory processions, Vijaya, and temple rituals, Devatalaya. Mangale, Vijaye, Chaiva, Vadyate, Devatalaye. Iti Dundubhi Lakshanam. And next he talks about Bheri. Bheri also played with a stick, kona. Left hand supports or strikes the opposite face, produces a deep, booming sound described as udbhata, majestic, forceful. And then characteristic syllable is tankara. Tam sound should come, noted by Sharngadeva as its primary sound. The timbre is grave and awe-inspiring, intended to instill fear in enemies and reverence in audiences. The Bheri is the great kettle drum, archetypal of royal, martial, and temple contexts. Its sound is associated with victory, grandeur, and divine presence. And then he talks about Nisana. Nisana is made of bronze, kamsya, copper, tamra, or iron, loha. Bronze is the best, uttama. Copper is madhyama, medium. Iron is inferior, adhama. And then Ekavaktra, single-faced instrument. Mahanvaktra, large body with a slightly tapering lower portion. And then belly is filled with a metal vessel, bhutagarbha, covered with mahisha charma, buffalo hide. Hide stretched and fastened with pins. Okay, this instrument is massive and is designed for loud resonance. And it is played with a kona stick, sometimes accompanied by a second stick also. It produces deep, terrifying sounds dominated by ghomkara and rumkara. And then the sound is described as dvishad vitrasa janana, causing fear in enemies. Its booming resonance is meant to shake the hearts of the timid and inspire courage in warriors. So both are possible with the sound of Nisana. The Nisana is a great war drum closely related to the Dundubhi and Bheri. All of them are quite similar. I don't know why he has given different names. And then its role is martial and ceremonial. It is used in battlefields to terrify the enemies and in temple rituals to invoke awe. And then Sharngadeva emphasizes its psychological impact, inspires romanchana, goosebumps in warriors. It is the heaviest and most fearful member of the Pushkara Vadya family. And then Tumbaki, Nisanavat Tumbaki Syat, Tatolpa Gatranadayoho. So this Tumbaki is a lighter version of this Nisana. And next he talks about quality of wood and its types. Uttau Prakriti Darunam Anuktau va Vikalpataha Gneyo Darava Vadyanam Khadiro Raktachandanaha Sarveshu Syuhu Yatha Yogam Pataha Mardalaha Nirasochrita Bhurjata Jirna, it should be Jirna Dvata Taroho. So there is a Tankana dosha. I'll correct it later. The best woods are Khadira, Acacia, Raktachandana, red sandalwood. If no specific wood is mentioned in the text, these are taken as the default choices. If there is mention of like hardwood, hard timber, or mango, just now we saw. So if that kind of mentioning is not there, we should consider this red sandalwood or acacia for this. Drums like pata, pataha, mridanga, hudukka are all to be made from these woods. According to some traditions, pataha and related drums are 16 in number, while mridanga and its variants are also 16 in other traditions. Thus, in total, 32 wooden drums are recognized, each requiring suitable timber. Yatha yogam. The chosen wood should match the sound quality and construction needs of the particular drum. For example, Pataha requires strong resonant timber, while Kudukka may use lighter wood. If the tree is sapless, aged, are damaged due to wind or hollowed naturally, the belly, garbha, is removed and the remaining trunk is used for the instrument. A tree that sprouts a new shoot after the old one is cut is considered to be auspicious. Instruments made from such wood are praised. And then Sharngadeva classifies trees into 3 categories based on their sap quality. Pittala, and then Vatala, and then Shleshmala. Pittala is rich in sap, growing near water bodies, considered excellent for instruments. Vatala has very little sap, considered inferior. Shleshmala is overly watery, unsuitable, and needs to be avoided. Yes, Pittala trees are the best choice for instrument making. Vatala trees are acceptable but not ideal. Shleshmala must always be avoided, especially if the tree is dry or cut prematurely. So, cutting the tree, when is the tree cut? That is also very important for making instruments. And we don't nowadays we buy in shops, no, so we don't know what kind of wood is used or from what are the important these things points to be noted while buying an instrument. Next, he talks about kashtha doshaha, komalatvam, vrana granthi bhedan darushu varjayet. Defects to be avoided in woods. Komalatva, softness. Wood that is too soft lacks strength and resonance. And then such timber cannot withstand the tension of drum heads or produce a clear tone. Vrana, wounds are scars. Trees with injuries, cuts or scars in the trunk are unsuitable. These weaken the structure and reduce durability. And then granthi, knots. Knotted wood creates uneven density. This interferes with carving, hollowing, and resonance. They also produce distorted or dull sounds. And then bheda, splits or cracks. Cracked timber cannot hold tension or produce stable variation. It may break under pressure when stretched with hide. So these are the kashtha doshaha: komalatvam, vrana, granthi, bheda. And then he also talks about quality of hides for instrument making. Shanmasikasya vatsasya charmasyat putabandhane vadyavanahanartham tadgrahyam Shri Sharnginoditam. Types of hide. Calf hide, which is had a natural death at the age of 6 months, that is considered suitable for putabandhana, drum head binding. And then 2-year-old calf hide. Some authorities prefer this. Sharngadeva notes both traditions. Anye Dvivatsara, 2-year-old calf. Dvivatsarasya ahuhu tanna lakshyeshu drishyate. And then bull hide, vrishabhasya, used for strong binding. Baddhasya, vrishabhasya asya charmana bandhakalpana, used for strong binding, especially for large war drums. And then ideal qualities. The hide should be bright white like kunda, indu, hima, sankasha, jasmine, moonlight or snow, whatever. And then reddish like amra, pallava, sannibha, mango leaves. And then free from sinews and flesh, snayu and mamsa vihina. And then derived from cowhide, charma go sambhavam. And this skin, the hide also is soaked in, the preparation is done. It is soaked in cold water overnight. Shitodake nisham ekam vasayitva. Then it is stretched and dried. This process makes it suitable for instrumental use. And then charma doshaha. Medo dushtam jarakrantam klinnam kaka mukhahatam agni dhoomahatam jeernam. These are the defects in hide. Sharngadeva lists several faults that make animal hide unsuitable for musical instruments. Medodushta, fatty, greasy hide. Too oily, does not stretch or resonate properly. Jarakranta, aged, decayed hide, weakened by age, loses elasticity. Klinnam, moist, damp hide, prone to rotting, produces dull sound. Kaka mukhahata, pecked or damaged by crows or birds. Scarred or punctured hide. Agni dhumahata, burnt or smoke damaged. What happens is scorched or singed or exposed to direct flame, heavily smoked or exposed to soot. Such kind of hide makes it becomes brittle or impure, and it dries, which results in loss of tonal quality. And jeernam is worn out old hide, lacks strength, cannot hold tension. And positive qualities. In contrast, Sharngadeva praises hides that are strong, resonant, and pure, saying, by such qualities, the three worlds are bound in sound. Gunaihi bhuritarodharaihi yasya naddham jagatrayam avanaddhamidam tena Sharngadevena kirtitam. By such qualities, the three worlds are bound in sound. This is called Avanaddha, drum, meaning a properly chosen and prepared hide gives the drum its cosmic resonance, linking ritual sound to universal vibration. So with that, we come to the end of Avanaddha Prakarana, and still we have Ghanavadyas. Shall we take it up in the next session, or do you want me to continue?
Perhaps next session. How big is that?
That is not this big, but it has some content.
Yeah. Next session may be better, Mahodaya.
Yes, yeah. That's what I do feel. Actually,
I have other class
tried
also.
to minimize so much of content is there. While making notes also, it was it took a lot of time actually.
I
So
mean,
without missing the point, if you have to concise the note, it's very difficult.
Yes.
Because you don't want to miss out on the important points also.
Yes.
At the same time, you want to make it smaller. It's very difficult.
Yes.
Luckily, the Sanskritam we are able to understand. So, I mean, we should again go through that. And
yes.
Regarding that part, there was something like the hide was closed in the top, right? In Villupattu, they have that culture. I have seen in Villupattu, they use a ghatam like thing which will be closed.
Oh, okay. But usually what they use in concerts, they are open.
No? Yeah, it is open.
But they close it with their tummy. They put it.
They cover it. Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes they put the hand on top of that also, and gum gum like that. The close half, and that sound comes.
And so that they can open or close it depending upon what sound they want to make.
Yeah. Also, I think the sound is different if they wear a shirt or not wear a shirt.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Contact. See,
true.
if the animal skin can make a difference, human skin also will make a difference.
Yes.
Like at in Thiruvananthapuram, Swati Tirunal festival or something. I have another question. The very first category, it talked about the deity associated with Kartikeya.
Skanda is Kartikeya, no?
Yeah. So Kartikeya, Sharangadeva lived in Maharashtra. They are originally from Kashmir, but settled in Maharashtra. In the jungles in Abheri, not Abheri, it's Amberi. There is a Kartik Swami temple that does not permit women. It's like a Ayyappa temple. You know, there are I just wondered if they have drum playing in that temple. That might be really a relic from ancient times, because it says ceremonial, it is large and all of that. In the description,
very interesting actually.
So I just wonder, of course, that they don't permit women traditionally, because
which is the place? Which is the place?
I'll tell you.
Somewhere in Maharashtra, there Kartikeya is supposed to be a brahmachari and Vinayaka is supposed to be twice married.
Oh,
the other way. It is the other way from our South tradition.
It is just like this thing. It's in the middle of a jungle. If women go there, it takes them 4 or 5 days. If they end up getting their period, the animals will attack everybody with the blood smell. That is the reason. That's the real reason women are allowed at Shabarimala, because in those olden days, you only had to trek. Whether it's 1 week or 2 weeks, or depending on how fast you walk, and then you camp on the way, everything. And the same principle applies here. But of course, you have to tell a story, and then otherwise people won't respect it. That's a different issue. But I'm just curious whether they have drum playing in that temple, Amberi.
Yes, we need to.
Most of the traditional temples use the drum, various kinds of drums, the Panchavadyam, and in most of drumming has been a part of the worship all over India, right? In even in the Kanchi Mattam, they play that Gudka like thing, no? They do the damaru. In the evenings, they light the lamp and they Patanjali Stotram they say and do that.
Okay.
They play that. And also in many temples they have it like Vadyam Avataraya, like that every time it's a part of the worship. So they have things. And also ragas they mention.
Yes.
Kumbhabhishekam, I attend some Kumbhabhishekams. They have specific ragas that is played by the Nadaswara person.
You know, there was a jazz musician. The drums is really it is the very heartbeat. Even before the melody came out of the human being's mouth, the heart is beating. So that is very, very, very primal or fundamental to our very existence.
Yes.
So I can understand drum playing being ancient, because it is. That's how it is. That's how we are living. And there was a jazz. I will try to find that name and send it to you. He had pioneered. He was a drummer, jazz drummer in New York City. He pioneered specific. He was able to work with some cardiologists. He was able to diagnose even heart things, ailments are in some manner. And he was a visiting faculty in Vermont at Middlebury College. I had